look at what happens if the demand is increased, but the supply has decreased here. So you take a look at the market for Sandy Koufax limited edition for no-hitter bobbleheads. So demand and supply of Sandy Koufax limited edition for no-hitter bobbleheads. Just as a personal note, this is actually a bobblehead that the Dodgers actually produce. I'm a huge fan of bobbleheads, Dodger bobbleheads in particular. What's kind of interesting about this particular product is that you can actually see supply and demand in action. The Dodgers actually released this bobblehead as a special promotional item, and so it wasn't a regular stadium giveaway. You had to actually purchase really expensive tickets, and this, along with another Vin Scully bobblehead, they actually gave it to you separately. So they didn't give it away as a giveaway. Now, what ended up happening was that with this particular bobblehead, there's very limited supply. So, in fact, I was one of the few people that actually had this, and actually had the opportunity to sell it at the then equilibrium price. So it's as high as like $300-400. Problem is, I waited too long and the supply increased. A lot of more sellers had this particular limited edition. There's actually only 1,955 that was made to commemorate the year in which Sandy Koufax threw one of the no-hitters. But as supply increased, predictably, the price of the product went down. So right now, you could probably get this same bobblehead, which used to have an equilibrium price of $300, close to around $50 or $60. So it's kind of a lesson in supply and demand right there that I kind of learned the hard way here. So Sandy Koufax, let's say, returns to manage to the Dodgers. Again, very far-fetched consideration with Don Mattingly having signed an extension, and who knows how long he's going to manage the Dodgers. But let's say he comes back to either manage or be the pitching coach. And also the cost of ceramic increases here. Now let's go ahead and take a look. How would that affect the supply and demand here? So if he returns to manage the Dodgers, you would just assume that the demand is going to increase. Because anytime a very popular player comes back to the limelight, that probably increased the demand for his bobblehead. Now, what happens to the supply if the cost of ceramic increases? Well, if the price of an input increases, then the supply is probably going to decrease. So what's going to end up happening here is that you have the supply and you have the demand for Sandy Koufax bobbleheads. Again, the equilibrium price is going to be a certain amount. So again, it can get really high or can kind of get low. So this is equilibrium. So what ends up happening is that the demand is going to increase. So the equilibrium price and quantity will both increase. However, simultaneously, what ends up happening is that there's a supply decrease. So these two combinations, this combination of events, the price is going to go up for sure. The quantity you're a little unsure about here. So the equilibrium price for sure has increased. A combination of a restriction of supply and increase in demand yields an increase in equilibrium price. However, with the equilibrium quantity, as you can see right here, it really depends on the magnitude of the supply and demand shift here. So the quantity is unsure here. So again, one last review here. I'll do it really quickly because if you didn't really get this, you can kind of go back and review these examples again. I'll say it really quickly here. So if the demand increases, price goes up, quantity goes up. If the demand decreases, price goes down, quantity goes down. If the supply increases, then the price goes down, quantity goes up. If the supply decreases, price goes up, quantity goes down. If supply and demand both increase and the quantity increases, the price is unsure. If supply and demand both decrease, quantity goes down, price is unsure. If supply increases but demand decreases, price goes down, quantity is unsure. And if supply decreases and demand increases, price goes up and quantity is unsure. So again, I know I said that really quickly, but if you have trouble with any of these 8 possible combinations, it's really not that hard. You just have to kind of logically figure out where it goes. So again, I encourage you, if you haven't mastered these concepts, go back and review them. Thank you for watching Educator.com.